Welcome back to my channel. It's Jacques. Bienvenidos, mi canal. I wanted to make this video because it was something that just happened, and I think it's something that we also need to talk about when it comes to expats. What I like to call them is immigrants, because I'm an immigrant, and there is this very cocky attitude, and I can say that because I've lived out of America and I've lived in 2 different countries prior to Mexico, and there is an air about Americans that are very cocky. It's very cocky, it's very condescending, it's very I walk with privilege, so the world should bow. And I think that's what we've been kind of taught in America. So I'm part of this Facebook group, and this group is for immigrants. It says expats and foreigners, but immigrants. And one, let's address that. I do not like that we call ourselves, and I'm gonna say them, they call themselves foreigners and expats when it comes to living in another country. I'm an expat, I'm a foreigner, because of the negative connotation that comes with being called an immigrant. But in the same sense, we'll go back to America, we'll go back to England, we'll go back to Europe, and then call Moroccans in Spain immigrants. Call sometimes I think it's Moroccans as well, or Egyptian, which is pretty much the same thing almost. In England, immigrants. Everyone's an immigrant except the other people of these privileged countries, as you would probably think. You're an immigrant at the end of the day. If you're living in Mexico, you're from America, you're from Europe, you're from Canada, you're from Australia, you're a fucking immigrant. And I don't change that. I call myself an immigrant. I do not think that that is even a thing that we should even be discussing or trying to make it sound more cool. So I'm in this group, and I'm gonna be honest, it's primarily white people that are having issues, that they say they have issues making friends in Mexico, having issues with people saying that certain things are being gentrified. Have I got the comments online as well? I have also got the comments online about being an immigrant, being in Mexico and gentrifying the areas and things like that. I would say what I said online. My response is, I didn't make this price. The person that I'm renting my house from made the price. It could have easily been what's marketable or what's marketing or the market rate in my area. I don't know. Did I do much research? The price was very good to me. It was much less than what I was paying in Barcelona, and I had a lot more. So for me, it was perfect. But I think people don't take that with a grain of salt, that most people are not like me. Most people are not going to only shop local. Most people are not only going to, or give an extra tip to the cleaning lady because what you think she's being paid isn't enough. And I tell people all the time, if I can give my cleaning lady extra money, it's a meal for me. You know, it's a one night not going out to dinner. So, which sometimes, you know, I need not to. But what I'm saying is, I want us to really understand the privilege that we're actually in, living in another country that we necessarily don't consider as being as expensive. Because we're looking at it in a different way. There are a lot of things that I look at now where I'm like, oh, that's inexpensive, but it's actually, once I convert, and because the dollar's not holding its weight anymore, once I do the research and do my conversions, I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty normal. It's not, you know, it may have been higher in other places. For sure, I know it probably been higher in somewhere like London. But what I'm speaking about today is the entitlement. And I was just going back and forth with this guy. Not really going back and forth. I just told him it was a little extreme because he went on the edge of, you know, everyone, if they don't like us, they don't like the fucking gringos, and which is gringo, go home, means regresa a tu país, is return to your country. I've never heard that. Have I heard that from a neighbor of mine that got unruly in the hallway and was disrupting everybody else and they were American? Yes. I have heard it before. I have never heard it for myself. Also, for me, I'm respecting their country. This is their country. This isn't my country. Do I speak the language? Yes. Can I get my point across when I need to? Yes. Am I shopping local? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's their country. So are you going to run into a few bad apples? Yes. It's the same thing as you run into a few bad apples in London. I ran into a few bad apples in Spain as well. At the end of the day, you still come in as titled. And I'm not saying Mexicans are poor, because there are way more rich Mexicans than I have ever thought. And I mean, you have to understand, they don't have student loans. They don't have these mortgages and things that Americans have. All of them, most likely, if not, own their home. Even if they're renting, they don't have any debt. So they have more money than the middle-class American, if you think about it. But we went back and forth because he was like, well, they don't like Americans. They a big fuck you to them, and they can cancel their trips to San Antonio. And for me, I just commented simply, how fucking hypocritical of you that you want to be called an expat, but they're an immigrant in your country. Second, why so much animosity? If you know that you're doing all that you can do, you're doing everything that you can do to make sure that you preserve their country, making sure that everything is going well. We don't really know what's actually happening in the government as immigrants, but you do your part, you know, and that for me has always been the thing. And again, like I told him, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying it's a little hypocritical of you to go one way with one thing and then in the same way attack them and say, well, cancel your trip to San Antonio. And it's like, you live in their country. And I think that's the thing that which very, very important to me when it came to learning Spanish, because it was very important to be able to speak and articulate exactly how I'm feeling, exactly, you know, just so it's not this big barrier where we're probably thinking the same thing or saying the same thing, but it's not the same thing, you know? But once you're able to tell them, hey, this is what's happening, this is what's going on, then it's a lot better, you know? It's a lot better. So that's the thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way. It's the same thing of when I was in Barcelona and there were people that just didn't speak Spanish. And I'm like, how do you even live here? How do you know, and you're probably the same people in these forums saying that you can't make friends, you can't do this. That's because you want everybody to fucking cater to you. You want everybody to make sure that you're happy. Like, oh, well, I don't know the language. Maybe they should know English. And for me, it's like the laziest shit that America has taught us in the world is to be so fucking lazy. On all fronts, just fucking lazy. And that's what bothered me about it. So that's why I'm saying expats, immigrants, come to these countries and respect these people. Respect them, because you're new to their area. So for them, they only go off what they see. You know, they're only going, from what I've understood, they're only saying, you know, you all act entitled. You all act like the world revolves around you. And then you have incidents like in this group, and it does. And it's the same thing that me and a friend of mine, Candace, were talking about. When you all go to these countries, pick up, that do not speak English, pick up on the basics of thank you. How can I get this? Can I get water? Can I get food? Directions. It's easy. It's a Google Translate. Listen to the translation, repeat it. Sometimes it's going to be difficult, but for the most part, they're going to understand what you're saying. Stop going to these countries thinking that everybody's going to speak English. That's only a lazy concept that America has told you, that the world revolves around you. And everybody should know English because English is the most popular. No, it's not. And I said that in a previous video of mine. There are many other countries that these children and these people, they speak so many different languages so they can speak to the world, including English, you know? So that's what I wanted to get off my chest today, because it just really bothered me that people come to different countries and they have this preconceived notion of, you know, yeah, it may be cheaper and things like that, but they should cater to me. It does not work like that. It does not fucking work like that. And I just really want people to really wholeheartedly get that through their head. All right. So until next time, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. We're like 100 subscribers away from 1,000. Thank you guys so much. I just hit 15,000 on Instagram. Thank you guys so much. I love you all. And let's continue this journey. Adios.